Hi, first grade. I hope everyone is having a great day. I am excited because we are starting a new book today. We are going to read Seahorse, the Shyest Fish in the Sea. And I really think this is a great book. It has a lot of interesting information, a lot of things that I didn't know about seahorses before reading it. So I hope you enjoy it. So today, as we normally do when we first read a new book, we will notice and wonder. And we're actually going to try a new way of sharing our wonders, our questions. So I'm excited to show you that as well. So big day today. All right, before we look at our questions, or our pizza questions, I just wanted to quickly show a knowledge journal. So we have talked about those throughout the year and just kind of taking a minute to talk about some of the things that we've learned after each of the books that we've read and after each of the modules. And I think that's always a good thing to kind of think back what we've learned and see how we can use that in future lessons, and also think about goals that we have of things that we want to try to work on to get even better at. So in this last story, Jane, we learned a lot about Jane Goodall and some of the things that we learned how to do, finding the main topic. And we talked about, using the buttons and boxes strategy. We also learned about topic statements, finding a good topic statement, writing a topic statement, and really working on, writing answers in complete sentences, being able to take a question like we do during our silly sentences and be able to turn that into a complete sentence. What is the weather today? The weather today is, right, for example. I just wanted to show you those to kind of keep them fresh in your mind, because as we move into these next set of books, which are going to be nonfiction text that teach us a lot of different information about animals, we're going to be, really looking at the main topic and the details, and we can use what we've started learning and apply that to our future lessons and our work with these texts. So, all right, so let's look at our pizza questions. We are still working on answering the question, what can we discover about animals' unique features? And we're going to learn a lot of information about that with these next several books. Our one slice of pizza question is, how do seahorses use their unique features? So that will take us a little bit of time as we work through this text to answer that question. But today, like I said, when we start a new text, we will notice and wonder. So the question you want to keep in mind is, what do I notice and wonder about Seahorse, the shyest fish in the sea? All right, so let's go ahead and listen to the story. You do have a copy of this book, so if you would like to pause the video and grab it so you can follow along, or just know that you have it, so if you want to look back through it as you're thinking of your wonder and notice, your questions, feel free to grab the copy of the book. All right, so this is by Chris Butterworth, Seahorse, the Shyest Fish in the Sea, illustrated by John Lawrence. In the warm ocean, among the waving seagrass meadows, an eye like a small black bead is watching the fish dart by. Who does it belong to? Seahorse, one of the shyest fish in the sea. Seahorse has a head like a horse, a tail like a monkey, and a pouch like a kangaroo. This one is a barber seahorse. He has tiny prickles down his back like a dragon. He may not look like a fish, but that's what he is. And then down here, you may notice smaller print, smaller text, and that says, for a long time, no one was sure what kind of animal the seahorse was. Its scientific name is hippocampus, which means horse-like sea monster. Seahorse swims upright. He moves himself through the water with the little fins on his head and the larger one on his back. He can only swim slowly, so if a hungry snapper cruises by looking for a snack, Seahorse does something very clever. He holds still and changes color. Now you see him, until he's almost invisible. Now you don't. And so clever means, smart, like a good idea, come up with a smart idea. It's clever. And the small text down here says, seahorses have hard, bony ridges all down their bodies. Not many other creatures eat seahorses, probably because they're just too difficult to swallow. The way seahorses change the color of their skin to blend in with their surroundings is called camouflage. So let's read another page and see if you can notice what's going on with the large text and the smaller text. See if you notice a difference. And maybe that's something that you might share or ask about in your Wonder and Notice. Every day at sunrise, Seahorse swims slowly off to meet his mate. They twist their tails together and twirl gently around, changing color until they match. Seahorses are faithful to one mate and often pair up for life. So that means they stay with the same other seahorse for their whole life. Today, Seahorse's mate is full of ripe eggs. The two of them dance till sunset, and then she puts her eggs into his pouch. Barber's seahorses mate every few weeks during the breeding season. Only the male seahorse has a pouch. Only the female seahorse can grow eggs. Seahorse sways about to get the eggs settled in, then seals his pouch shut tight. Seahorses are the only male fish to get pregnant like this, growing their young inside their own bodies. Safe inside, the dots in the eggs begin to grow into baby seahorses. They break out of their eggs and keep on growing. Everyone with a head like a tiny horse and a tail like a tiny monkey. A few weeks later, Seahorse finds a quiet place to hide among the corals. It's time for the babies to be born. He works hard all day and through the night, bending, squeezing, and pushing, shooting hundreds of babies out of his pouch. Barber seahorses can have 200 to 300 babies at one time. They swirl around him in the water like smoke. One or two of the babies hangs on to Dad's nose for a while. It's the first and biggest thing they've seen. But when they let go, they are so tiny and light that the current soon floats them away. So the current of the water, the flow of the water. Each tiny new seahorse is a perfect copy of its parents and is ready for life on its own as soon as it's born. This new seahorse is only as long as your eyelash. Amazing. But she can find her own food right away. Her eyes move separately from each other. One can peer up while the other looks down, so she can spot food coming from any direction. Seahorses live on plankton, tiny creatures that float along with the current. With one quick slurp, she sucks her catch into the end of her snout and swallows it whole. Seahorses don't have teeth. When she is big enough, Seahorse curls up her tail and sinks to the seabed. And it says to drop lower in the water, seahorses tuck in their necks and roll up their tails. To rise higher, they uncurl themselves till they are almost as straight as pencils. She is safer here. So that sinks to the seabed, the bottom. She is safer here. Her camouflage protects her. And if a storm scoops the sea into huge waves or passing boats send currents sweeping by, there are plenty of things to hang on to. It says seahorses cannot live where the currents are very strong. They would be swept away. Seahorses have prehensile tails, which means they can grasp things tightly with them. So like how we can grasp with our fingers. When she is even bigger, Seahorse picks one patch of reef as her home. She wraps her tail around a coral branch. This is her holdfast. Wherever she goes, she'll keep coming back to this holdfast. Male Barber seahorses range over only a few square yards. The females range as twice as big or even bigger. So how far they will leave and then come back to that one spot. In a few months, this little seahorse will be ready to mate. She'll spend the rest of her life on the reef, watching for food, meeting her mate, and trying to stay almost invisible. Barber seahorses can mate by the age of 6 months and are fully grown at about a year. Who's that peering from the coral? And we are at the end of the book, and we will talk a little bit more about what this is. And I hope you enjoyed that. I found some really interesting things about seahorses that I didn't know before reading this book, before, but I find them to be really interesting fish. And I hope you learned something and found something interesting and also have some more questions and are curious. So that's what I want to show you now. We're going to try using something different today to share our notice and wonder. It's very similar to Padlet. There will be a link if you tap the add response, just like you're used to on Seesaw once you're finished watching this. Then there will be a link that will take you to what's called Jamboard. And let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so when you click on the link, it will bring you to a page that looks like this. And what this allows us to do is to, just like in Padlet, share our ideas, and we are able to see each other's ideas as well. And this is something that we can use during our Google Meet. So I thought we could test it out and see how, see how it works for you, see if it works out okay, hopefully. And maybe it's something that we could at some point use during one of our Google Meets to share our ideas where everybody can see, everybody's idea. So don't worry about that right now, but I thought we could give it a try today with our notice and wonder. So what you can do is just, if you come over here and you find the tool that looks like a little sticky note, and you see when I kind of like hold my mouse over it, it says sticky note, but it is the one that looks like a sticky note. And if you tap on it, it will bring up this box and it will let you type in it just like we have done in the Padlet. So if you could, just like we normally do, write your first name, last initial, and then you can share what you notice and wonder, or what you wonder about this text, the seahorse, the shyest fish in the sea. You can change the color of your sticky note if you would like, whatever color you feel like using. And you could say, I wonder why, and whatever question that you have about the text. And don't forget about our wonder wheel, who, what, where, why, when, how, as a way to help you with your questions. And once you type your question, you just can hit save. And then now it went over top, so you can move your sticky note so that once a few people have answered, you can see each other's sticky notes, and we can just kind of place them on the board if you need to move it around. I'm not sure if it gets filled up. I don't know if someone's sticky note will cover someone else's. So if you notice that it looks like it went over top of someone else's, if you could just tap on it and you can move it to wherever you want. If we take up the front page, this space, if you go up here, it says 1-2 or 1/2. You can hit this arrow and it will open up a fresh, clean, an empty board if you need. You could still do the same thing by picking a sticky note, and it will stick it right there. So I thought we'd give it a try. If for some reason, if it doesn't work or you're having any trouble with it and you want to just share your wonder through Seesaw, feel free to do that. Or let me know if you're having trouble. I kind of thought we could do a little trial run with this, a little test to see how this works for us. So let me know if you do have any questions or troubles. But I can't wait to hear what you think about the text and what questions you have. And I'll talk to everybody soon. Bye.